Welcome back to my channel, Reader Woman. My name's Judy, and I thought I would just share with you my final display for the dining room hutch. So I have one shelf I've filled, and I feel like I filled it with, well, not necessarily all my oldest books, but probably my oldest books, plus some that, I wasn't really planning on doing this way, but I think it looks nice enough. Some new additions I wanted to mention was I did have this very nice old copy of Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm. So I think it's from the late 1900s or 1910s. Let's see here. Yeah, 1917. So, and it's in very good shape, I think, for its age. And I know I've read it a few times. And then this was one of my father's books. He was always very fond of Scaramouche by Raphael Sabatini. It's a pirate book. Very charming. Although it's a romance of the French Revolution. And I haven't read it in a few years, but of course I read it. And this is from 1921. So anyways, I thought that one should go here as well. Now here, as you can kind of see, I have a copy. It's not exactly mine, but I've had it for 20 years. So anyways, I don't know that it'll be here forever, but it's a pretty little series of Shakespeare. It's the Student's Handy Shakespeare. And there are 12 volumes of it. They're kind of delicate, actually. And let's see here, I forgot what year they were published. Let's see here. Copyright 1881. And it's a very odd little series, I have to say. Boston, Estes, and Laureate were the publishers. And the text carefully restored according to the first editions, with introductions, notes, original and selected, and the life of the poet, by the Reverend H.N. Hudson. Revised edition with additional notes. So it's very pretty. It has, although the leather's falling apart, and you just see that it's more fabric showing through, but the end pieces are the gold and soft cover. But I'm just kind of surprised that number one starts with The Tempest and Two Gentlemen of Verona and the Merry Wives of Windsor and Twelfth Night. Seems like a very odd place to start for Shakespeare. And anyways, I just got these out, actually. So I'm happy that they're out being displayed, and they're not in the best of shape, but they're fine. The next one is the Oxford Book of American Verse. And I know this had to have been my mother, because she did enjoy poetry. Odd to say. Let's see here. And this was printed in 1952. So, like I said, I'm not happy with the fact that, we jumped from all around like this, but it is what it is. And so I know my mom had a great fondness for Robert Frost, and so I'm very sure it came from her. Let's see here. Then we have Hiroshima by John Hersey. I read this as a teenager. It was one of the hardest things for me as an American student. I felt lied to and betrayed. I was 16 and I found out that Germany wasn't the only one who had concentration camps, that America had rounded up all the Japanese, basically forced them to leave their homes, their businesses, and they had a choice of either moving into the Midwest or going to what they didn't call a concentration camp, but which was a relocation camp. I felt lied to. I felt so angry when I found that out. There's just no doubt about it. I was so betrayed because up until then, there had been nothing saying that about America. And this whole idea that you have to love your country, you know, it's the perfect, it's not. And I think that we need to know more about our country's history, good and bad. And so Hiroshima has definitely been a book that I've appreciated having, and I've read it several times. It's horrifying. It is what it is. It is a, you know, following the lives of these, I think it's 5 or 6 people and what they were doing. And so this was from 1946. And anyways, the cover is not quite in perfect shape, but it does have the photos of the people that John Hersey followed after the atomic bomb was dropped. Then, for some reason, which I have absolutely no idea why, Animal Farm by George Orwell. Let's see when it was published. 46. I just can't imagine either my mom or my dad. I must have forgot to send in that month. But anyways, I've definitely read it. I think I prefer 1984, but and then the next book has to be from my mom. She was a great fan of Will Rogers. Excuse me. And so she has 2 of his collected works, Ether and Me, and then also Will Rogers' Illiterate Digest. A very funny title. Now, I have a very sad, falling apart version of Little Men by Louisa May Alcott. It's been read to death. But yeah, somehow the family library contained Little Men, but not Little Women. And then, let's see here, 5 Little Peppers and How They Grew by Margaret Sidney. And this is just a lovely little book. Unfortunately, it is falling apart. The binding has given way, but it has these really charming full color illustrations throughout, and it's just a very nice, wholesome story about a family trying to survive in a time of great want. I'm not sure that it was about the Depression, but probably. I pulled this. I've never liked it. Green Mansions by W.H. Hudson. But once again, the illustrations are pretty cool. If I can find one. And so I don't know where or who so it was reprinted in 1944. So I would think that it was probably a book club selection from one of my parents. I have the Collected Tales of A.E. Coppard. I am not really familiar with this at all. Let's see here. And when was it published? Let's see here. 1927, reprinted in 1948. So a Borzoi book. And it's in still really good condition. And then I have my family's fairy tale books. Well used. Grimm's, which was obviously the favorite, and it's the Grimm stories of had nicely illustrated in color. You know, where the sisters cut off their feet in Cinderella. So as a child, I really appreciated getting the true story. And then there's also Andersen's fairy tales. So my dad was mostly involved in reading these, so my guess is they were probably his. Let's see here. We are getting towards the end. And then we have the Hemingway Reader. I'm not a huge Hemingway fan, but I've always looked at this book and gone, I wonder what it's all about. So they have 2 complete novels, The Torrents of Spring, The Sun Also Rises. So not that great. And then selections from 5 works, which I hate selections and abridgments. And then a series of, then selections from 2 works of nonfiction. So Death in the Afternoon, The Bullfight, and from Green Hills of Africa, the first chapter, and then a series of stories. So, yeah. I would assume my dad, but who knows? Let's see when this was published. My guess would probably be the 40s. And I would be wrong, 1952. So, 1952. This is masterpieces of world literature in digest form. And you're going, what the heck? But I loved this book growing up. And I would pore over it, reading about the various books. And so I guess it wasn't necessarily all the books you needed to read, but I just would so enjoy going through and reading the synopsises of all the various books. And yeah, I spent a lot of time with this book. I should have probably read the books, but I was reading these synopses. And that, my friends, is my finished shelf. It only took me 4 videos and 2 weeks, and I got a table full of books that have to find new homes. So I can't say that it's all organized at this point, but I at least have this lovely little book display looking kind of the way I wanted it to. So thumbs up. I'm happy. Hope you're having a great day, and we will talk again soon. Bye.